Hello, I'm Richard Seaford, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Bacchae. Athenian tragedy is quite different to modern tragedy in the respect that it doesn't have the sort of occasional poetic genre to create the emotions in songs, that the dithyramb would have had to. Tragedy sort of originates in the dithyramb. Its combination of episodes and songs creates for a very mature form of tragedy. The opening of the Bacchae is actually the sort of the genesis of the whole genre. Dionysus has come to Thebes to establish a mystery cult. It's a rite of passage that, people change in these rituals. It's almost a sort of a rehearsal for death, and the Bacchae is covered full of the mysteries of Dionysus. Pentheus is extremely docile, just like the woman he dresses up as. And, it's a very powerful scene of transvestism and a reflection of the Dionysian mystery cult. We sort of see a huge internal change in, Pentheus's external act to put women's clothes on. The mirror allows Pentheus to see two sides of Thebes. In order to understand the most sort of powerful and striking scenes, you have to abandon all your preconceptions of sort of what you think it's about. Pentheus is an enclosed person, someone you can't get through to, and his psychological type is broken down when he chooses to don female clothing. Pentheus is a tragic tyrant. He goes through the preliminary stages of suffering without actually going on to join at the end. Dionysiac cult is something the whole city joins in, and the Maenads represent the symbolic challenge towards the intense patriarchy. There's lots of benefits from the temporary suspension and reversal of norms. Athenian audiences sort of lived in fear of tyrants, and a positive aspect of the play through, the god's presence and goodwill, he abolishes, the norms for the benefits of the polis through Dionysiac mystery cults. Hello! Only joking. I'm Dr. Rosie Wiles, and I'll be talking about frogs. The very first line, you're getting something different. The slave and his master. Frogs is very self-conscious. It puts what comedy should do and how you should put your tragedy together. Frogs will not have the same jokes, and it will use and explore different types of humour. The audience would have enjoyed, Hercules mocking Dionysus. And it's not just a play about the literary criticisms of tragedy and comedy, but it's also about how to save Athens. It's at the end of the Peloponnesian War, and the city is on its knees. The audience know how close to destruction the city is and how important the navy is also. The play is very interested on the nature of tragedy, what it does to the audience and how it should be experienced and sort of what the tragedy playwright should do with it. The Bill of Organisi, 406 BC, it sort of gave slave privileges, and, it puts into perspective Xanthius' sort of stupidity and arbitrary reason that he didn't go, and he could have had freedom. The Athenians pride themselves on their seafaring skills, and they would have been embarrassed to see how poor Dionysus is at rowing. The tragic playwrights, they sort of become actors, It's sort of a play about aesthetics, Euripides has got the sort of the modern work and Aeschylus has got the old. Each playwright sort of tries to destroy each other's prologues. Hello, my name is Dr. Naomi Scott, and I'll be talking to you about frogs. Some of the knowledge needed to understand some of the jokes is pretty incredible. You have to have quite a high level of familiarity. It's a tragic contest between old versus new. Euripides says he gives the ordinary person a voice, but Aeschylus replies back and he says he puts kings in rags and makes a mockery of tragedy. Dionysus gives the crown to the playwright who can give the best advice to save Athens in its time of need. These themes are repeated throughout the play. Eppolis puts on a comedy called Demes, where the hero brings back the greatest political leaders of the past. But Aeschylus says no. He says Athens needs a poet, not a politician. Aristophanes presents the plays as a way of teaching the Athenians how to improve democracy, and throughout the contest we come to the realization that the best playwright that combines the two is Aristophanes. Hello, my name is Richard Seaford, and I'm going to be talking to you about Oedipus. Oedipus discovers who he is. It's by his own fortune that he goes from good to bad, and Oedipus is not part of a thematic trilogy which sort of focuses all the suffering on Oedipus. There's no such thing as a tragic hero, despite what Miss Teeth may say. It was established during the Renaissance, and it obscures the real meaning of tragedy. Somehow he's deeply flawed and a bad character, but heroic. Oedipus is a tyrant. Tyrannos is repeated 15 times throughout the play. On one hand, he is generally concerned with the polis. On the other, he just has irrational anger. He's the classic Tyrannos. Fate is not as important as people think. In Oedipus, human beings bring their own suffering about by their own actions. The notion of tragic fate is something we have to get rid of to probably understand tragedy. Tragedy is not about fate and the gods, but about human beings. What's important is limit. Here's an example. Oedipus is different. He takes on the Sphinx by himself. Unlike Theseus, this is a very different situation, and it shows Sophocles is writing in a new intellectual environment. Oedipus seems to embody the new human who doesn't need the gods and acts successfully without them. He will find out the truth through using his own intellect and energy. Searching for the truth brings about this huge catastrophe. Hello, my name is Dr. Rosie Wiles, and I'll be talking about Oedipus. The play is steeped in dramatic irony, and there's a sense that Oedipus is truly ignorant. The focus on the plague in Thebes gives it a strong epic feel, like the Iliad. What's really striking about Oedipus when we first meet him is that he has a very parental attitude. He's painted out as being a saviour of the people. Throughout the play, we learn who Oedipus really is. The fact he is able to solve the riddle is his greatness weakness. For his hamartia is his arrogance, which comes with his own self-identity as the riddle solver. There's moments in the play where his behaviour borders on the tyrannical. Oedipus has a confidence in his abilities that makes him utterly blind to the truth. It's no longer a play about saving Thebes, but about finding himself. And it's exactly who he is, which makes him do the actions he does. Out of all the characters in the play, Oedipus is most ignorant. He doesn't understand that his actions have consequences. You know, Oedipus can't escape his fate, partly because of who he is, but also because he's the riddle solver. Oedipus prides himself on being the riddle solver, but this is the thing that will make him fulfill his fate. There's an idea of double determination, the will of the gods and the actions of the individual. The ending of the play shows that the gods are completely and entirely in control. The people of Thebes are completely subjected to Apollo. Oedipus is born ill-fated. There's nothing he can do about it.